Hi, welcome to the seventh part of the labor force participation and occupational segregation lecture of the gender economics course, which is a course that introduces my students to the feminist economics. And this lecture series is prepared for the Middle Technical University Northern Cyprus campus. Well, basically, we had last time seen that this type of model, which shows actually the male and female human capital levels and how earnings are related. So the idea is again, women start relatively a bit higher human capital, maybe not because of the fields they choose, but in any way, due to the specific fields men choose allow further advancement, and maybe due to the performance they are able to apply because their household responsibilities is less, and also preference of the job training, on job training, basically in time will basically increase the human capital level of men above the woman, maybe, considering everything we have seen up to this point. And in the end, actually, the human capital of man will be higher than the woman. In the end, as a result, the collective earnings of the man will be higher than collective earnings of the woman. So women earn this much more in the beginning, but then man will earn this much. I mean, this much more, which will be kind of equivalent to this area. Of course, this is collective earning. I mean, if you want to know the value at a certain time, zero, then we need to discount future earnings. But still, in the end, men end up earning more. Well, what is actual data on this? Let's look to this before we move to the next article. Let's start with 1970s. So this is 1970s. As you see, these are ages. Actually, you don't have a case like women are starting, at least in the early 1970s. You'll see in the time also the 2007 type of that year. Women who get the high school, college education got kind of wage that is higher, that is 50% higher than the male wage. This is $2007, by the way. So this inflation is counted for. And men, even if they are high school graduates, they are earning more than the college graduated woman. And for the men, and for the woman, actually the difference stays more or less the same. And the wage is mostly flat, especially after 30s and 40s, maybe after the children kick in, basically. And for the men, well, maybe after that years, actually, male wage also don't fluctuate that much. But actually, male wage starts to differ from 50 to 80, $50,000 to $80,000. Again, maybe something more than 50%, basically. But in the later years, also for the woman, the wage was also it's still 50%, I believe. I mean, this difference looks like still like 50%. So in case of males, actually, in percentage-wise, the earnings, the return to education is higher. But certainly, I mean, even education don't bring women above the man in terms of the returns they could get. So this is the current, I mean, not current still, it's past but 2007 case. Now you can see female earnings. Well, they start maybe at the same, more than 50%, actually maybe 75%, and they actually at the age 35 and 40, between 35 and 44, they increase from $30,000 to almost $60,000, almost double. For men, it is around from $48,000 to $82,000, again almost double. And same type of flattening you can also see here. In case of college educated man, you have another spike maybe between 30s and 30s, 40s, and 50s, basically. But well, now you see the return to the education to the woman is more than more than it was before, and actually, at least women with higher education, they are still much below the man, but it is they are still with the same level of education, but again, well, they are still, the difference between them is actually smaller compared with the previous case, and this might be one reason actually. And if you look to the difference, actually, this is 30, this is 45-ish, basically, and this is 58, this is 80,000. I don't know. The ratios might also be similar, actually. Not similar, actually. If you look, this is kind of men are working. Men with college degree are earning 1/3 more than women, but men with high school degree are earning almost twice as much as women. So we might say education, the return to education for the woman has increased, which might be one reason why women get more education. Other reasons might be increase in the basically income of the families of the woman, and also maybe women might be enjoying education more. Education is something they already enjoy, although that was also true for before, but now because there are more women in the education, maybe that environment also helped them to having more women in the educational system might also increase the quality and the productivity of the women in the education also. So this is as much as we got from this chapter. Now we will look to the Blau, Winkler, and Karajan's article, which is interesting article, which contains a lot of data also. We will go basically again through the data, but the main idea is the view that well, when the countries are actually switching from ISI policies, import substitution industrialization policies, which is actually type of industrialization heavily supported by the governments, to a more free market approach. Well, feminists argue there might be an increase in the women's participation rate in the economic system, and that there is a grain of truth in that. Actually, we will also discuss that. But even though that kind of an effect is to some extent visible in in some countries like Latin American countries, that effect is not that much visible in Turkey and other MENA. This is Middle Eastern and Northern African countries. And actually, this is the starting point of the Karajan, but she goes further to understand why women's labor force participation rate in Turkey especially is low. And we already see, actually, she has actually talked on this under the care work, her work on the childcare facilities, but here she goes further than that, and she has multiple analysis. We will see that, and it's an interesting analysis, in my opinion, very interesting analysis. Well, let's go down to see the basics. So this can be the starting point, actually. Can I make it larger? I can make it larger. Okay. Well, let's go down. Let's take this down. Let's take this up. Okay. Well, as you see, this is ISI period, and during the ISI period, one point is actually women are more actually at that period were mostly working in the service sectors, which are more flexible and maybe more open to the woman because they are more care work type of sectors. But ISI mainly focuses on the industrial sector, and industrial sector is usually the sector where the women work less, as we have seen already. Engineering part, basically, that's the skill part of the industry. And also, ISI period was heavily guided by the government policies, and governments in many cases might also think that it's natural for the woman to stay at home, especially at the period 1955 and 1980, maybe before the feminist economics and another wave of feminist movement kick in, where women wanted to more participate in the economic activities, basically. Well, in addition to that, of course, having after 1970s and 80s, we also have we also have kind of a increase in participation of the woman. We have a general trend already. We have seen in the United States, and that general trend might also be effective in getting more women into the labor force, especially at a period when you have an economic crisis. The companies might be more reluctant to employ the labor force, which relatively they can hire for the lower wage, which was the case. I mean, women are working for the lower wage in general. So these all might be the factors. But as you see, this is the increase in the men and women in urban areas. And between, this is, I believe, Turkey. This is, I believe, Turkey. And as you see, this is the men in the non-agricultural employment. And basically, up to the 1990s, all the way up to the 1990s, as more men come to the urban areas, those men were absorbed by the labor market. Almost all of them were employed, and only after 1990s this has actually changed, and we have an increasing number of men in the urban area above age 15, who were unemployed. And again, before coming to the conclusions, we should mention those men might be handicapped men, old men, and also men who are getting college education. Although, of course, after 1990s, the fact that the ratio was increasing, well, we might question. I mean, we might actually look to who are these men who are not employed. And you can see, actually, interestingly, almost a continuous shift after 1990s. I mean, so there should be an increase in education or number of people who are retired after that time. To be able to say that that's the factor that's actually creating this divergence. But after 1980s, actually, you can see in 1965 maybe the trend has started, and maybe after 1980s it has become more steeper and steeper. You have an increase in the women in non-agricultural employment. Although, of course, the ratio would be important in this case, maybe it would be also good to look at the ratio. But at least some jobs were started to be open for the women also. But still, you have a very significant gap. I mean, 12 million men are employed, but only 4 million women are employed. Okay, let's go down. So why is this case? There could be different reasons for that. So this is the other case. Women's share in the total employment, it has actually after 1955 decreased, not increased. Although this is because the agricultural employment has decreased, so people go to urban areas, and in agriculture, women are more employed. And in non-agricultural jobs, actually, women's employment has increased from the near 0%. As you see, in 1955, it has started to increase to 5%, remained there, and then it has increased gradually all the way to the 15%, and more, as you've seen in the previous part. We have an increase, we have a significant increase, but that increase is still will bring women to a very, very, let's say, to even close to the male case. We still have a very significant gap in Turkey. So we will talk more on that, more on the reasons of this gap in the next part of this course, as we are coming very close to the 15 minutes mark. So see you in the next part.